Objection! Objection!
Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies is the most current Ace Attorney game for the 3DS. The game takes place 1 year after the events of Apollo Justice. It also stars newcomer defense attorney Athena Sykes and newcomer prosecutor Simon Blackquill. It spans 5 episodes, not including the DLC.
The good. The game adds new concepts, such as the mood matrix and Edgeworth logical thinking, to the Phoenix Wright gameplay, and has a very interesting concept. From using the mood matrix to examine the emotions of testimonies, and using the logical thinking at the end of a case to finally prove the innocence of your client. Also, the cinematic of the game was amazing. From the animated cutscenes to entering the court and seeing the diorama of the court move around when certain events happen.
The game does great with sucker punching you in the feels, much like its predecessors, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Justice for All, and Trials and Tribulations all did. There are also plenty of what the fuck moments scattered throughout the entire game, enough to keep you enticed. The game also has an interesting story that keeps you hooked until the end and leaves you very satisfied.
Prosecutor Simon Blackquill is an awesome new character who delivers the role that he's given
Prosecutor
very
Blackwell's
well.
an inmate.
He is a convicted murderer who is prosecuting cases. Detective Fulbright, as Prosecutor Blackquill calls him, does a great job of being a good detective. He is funny, and he is very dim-witted, much like Detective Gumshoe. However,
But even a
he's still not
murderer still
Detective
got a job to do
Gumshoe,
and
making
duties to
his role
perform.
feel not as grandiose as Gumshoe's once was. The crime scene investigations make you feel like you're more at the scene, being able to investigate it in more than one perspective. You're able to move around the scene to see certain aspects of the scene, something that wasn't implemented in the previous 4 games of the Ace Attorney series.
The game also introduces a new feature that tells you what you're supposed to do if you get lost, or if you set down the game for a few days and don't remember what you're supposed to do. The music in the game is brilliant. From orchestrated versions of great songs from previous games, like Apollo Justice's Objection theme, Phoenix Wright's Objection theme, as well as creating some of the most memorable songs that fit the situations of the game. The game's DLC costume pack is worth the 99 cents, giving you Nick's old costume from Ace Attorney through Trials and Tribulations, a cool street clothes costume for Apollo, and a Themis Academy uniform for Athena.
The bad.
There are a few characters that don't get enough screen time, such as Prosecutor Gavin and Trucy, along with Apollo not getting enough playtime. There are also a lot of reoccurring characters from the last 4 games that don't make the cut in this game, like Detective Gumshoe, Larry, and Emma Skye. These characters are just to name a few. I don't want to delve in too much because I don't want to spoil the game for you guys who have yet to play it.
Prosecutor Blackquill says silence too many times, making it almost annoying making his no bullshit kind of guy to a stuck-up individual. For nearly every time you would press a statement for something that wasn't supposed to be pressed or something that was useless, Prosecutor Blackwell would say silence. At the beginning, it made him seem like he didn't like useless talking, but the more times you press trying to figure out what you're supposed to do, the more annoying that got. Also, Simon Blackwell breaks out of his chains. The first time, it's mind-blowing, almost adrenaline pumping. But they decided to add that way too many times, and the feeling that happens when he does that is ruined just because they overused it.
I can hardly believe it.
The only case you play as Athena, her attitude during it makes her seem like a very hot-headed person. Fits her personality, but in the case, makes her more annoying than an interesting character.
Apollo's ability from his debut in Apollo Justice, the ability to perceive people's twitches as they're trying to lie, isn't utilized all that much in the game, as Simon Blackwell prevents him from stopping it in his own case, and it's only used outside up until really the final case. Nick's ability, as well as seeing Cyclops, isn't utilized all that much either, which are both huge things that made the game fun that they didn't implement as much as they probably could have. There's also a possible plot hole between Apollo Justice and Dual Destinies. For those who've played it, keep your eyes out for that. And the amount of characters that are played, Nick, Apollo, and Athena, the game feels too short. There's 5 cases with 3 playable characters. They could have made at least 6 cases within the game that you pay for, and instead they only do 5. To me, that just makes the game feel a little too short, all things considered.
The ugly.
Unfortunately, not every game out there is perfect, and Dual Destinies is one of those games that is not perfect. One of the things in the previous 4 Phoenix Wright games, or Ace Attorney games, that they have yet to address is the amount of hand-holding the game does. There are so many times in which the game pretty much tells you what pieces of evidence to present and when to present it at. It defeats the point of trying to logically think it through by heavily hinting at what you're supposed to be doing.
The new crime scene investigation tells you what to investigate. Ruins the fun of having to look at the crime scene that really stands out to you. There's a circle to tell you something that's a point of interest, but in the previous 4 Phoenix Wright games, you just have the scene itself, and you had to deduce what you thought was important or not. So at times you'd spend 5-10 minutes at the crime scene trying to figure out what was important. But the reason why that was important was the evidence you did find stuck out more than it does in this game. The mood matrix and the Edgeworth logical thinking parts of the game do not dock points when you choose an incorrect emotion or thought. Making these parts of the game as awesome and amazing they are, makes them almost useless, stress-free, that you don't get docked points for choosing something wrong, in which in any other case it would. The verdict?
The game is very fun to play. Veterans of the series will pick up on a lot of inside jokes, and people playing for the first time don't feel too left out. For the 5-year wait period between Dual Destinies and Apollo Justice, Dual Destinies delivers amazing, and it takes the best Ace Attorney game by far. Just like any other Ace Attorney game there are plenty of moments that make you laugh. For newcomers to the series, I still highly suggest playing the first 4 Ace Attorney games, so you kind of understand the relationship between a lot of the characters that do appear in Dual Destinies. I give Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies an 8.5 out of 10.